Hello, I'm Rex Childhouse, and to date this video, because to me internet videos seem to lose their date reference. Today is Thursday, January 27th, 2022. I'm not a computer whiz. I do a number of applications pretty well when it comes to doing firmware updates, flashing, whatever else. I start pulling back. Not my realm of comfort. And the other day, Prusa updated their PrusaSlicer, which I think is a great program, to version 2.4.0. I updated that to avoid getting the constant, there's a new version available, so I updated it. And when I started putting the G-code files that it generates into my Prusa i3 Mk3S Plus 3D printer, I started getting these, your firmware is out of date, update your firmware. And I was having some problems getting some prints accomplished, which I think is a filament problem, but I haven't resolved that yet. So I started researching on how to flash my Prusa i3 Mk3S Plus printer, and the Prusa homepage says use this document, use this application. I couldn't find any correlation. I was lost. I was frustrated. So I stepped back for a second, and I put my printer together as a kit in August of 2021, so I've been doing it now for less than 6 months, and remembered that there was something in Slicer that flashed the printer. So with the lack of other internet resources, and the few internet resources I did find on YouTube had me more frustrated and confused than I did. Flashing your Prusa i3 Mk3S Plus printer, and I suspect several other series of their printers, is actually pretty easy, and it's done through PrusaSlicer, and I'm going to show it to you from start to finish. I'm going to show it to you. So let's move on. You're going to need a cable to interface your computer to the Prusa i3 Mk3S Plus printer, and I'm going to call it the Mark III printer from now on. I just assume that the Mark III series is pretty generic, with the S3 being something more and the S3 Plus being something more. So you're going to need a cable. Prusa gave me this cable. I assume they're included in all assembly kits, and on the left side is the USB-A, as my internet research showed. I may be wrong. And that's going to plug into your computer, and on the right side in the image is the USB-B connector, again, as I found on the internet, and I've been wrong before, and that's going to plug into the firmware board. This cable was about 6 feet long, so your printer needs to be close to your computer, but it doesn't need to be real close. And you can also buy extension cords for USB-A male to USB female, so you can get even farther if you need to. On the Prusa Mark III, there's 3 boxes, if you want to call them 3 boxes. You have the display box, the control box on the front, not shown in the photo. You have the power supply in the back, and then you have the firmware box, the computer processing box, on the lower portion, and the USB-B cable attaches to that connector that I have circled in white, and that's what you're going to need to plug that cable into. With internet access, you need to go to Prusa3D.com, Prusa3D.com. You do not need to log in, you don't have to register, and select from the home page, select software. With software, you're going to select drivers and firmware.
And with drivers and firmware, you're going to find your specific printer, and it's going to be identified as firmware, and click on it and it's going to download. And on my system it downloads to a specifically designed named directory, and it shows up as a zip file. You need to know where your files download to. It's in my download holder and it's a zip file, and I am going to extract it, and off on the right side, and I'll move it over, it says extract all, and it's asking me where I want to put it. I'm going to leave it back in my download holder file and tell it to extract all. With that, it opens up the file for you. It opens up the directory, and the directory contains numerous PDFs, different languages. I need English. You can open this up and read it yourself. This is the file you're going to be after, this hex file, .hex, and this is the firmware update. I've opened up PrusaSlicer and I've downscaled it to fit the what I'm recording on my screen. And what you want it to do is you want to ensure that your cable, your USB cable, is connected to your printer, and that your printer is turned on and it's at that I'm Mk3S and I'm OK position. With that, you want to go to click on Configuration, Flash Printer Firmware, and it wants to know where that file is. Remember, I put it in download holder, so I've got to come back and find that in my download holder, and I'm going to move it over. It's there, and it's looking for, by default in the bottom right corner here, it's looking for .hex. This is one of the reasons that I recommended that you go back into your preferences for your file manager and show extensions. So click on this once or click on it twice, click on open, and it says, okay, I've got it, it's good, it's ready, I can do it. Now click flash, and it turns around and says, hey, I'm flashing, don't disconnect your printer. It doesn't take real long to do this. Your printer has got some stuff showing, and it's saying upgrading firmware, do not disconnect. I'm writing at 45% right now, so it's going to install this all by itself. You don't have to do anything else, and I'm going to pause it while it continues. The printer is now saying upgrading firmware, don't disconnect, and I'm verifying, and I'm at 41%. So the display on the printer does change as it does this flash process. And it looks like we're coming pretty close to the end of the process. I caught it just in time. The printer is now saying I'm sorting files, and it's back to its Prusa i3 Mk3S I'm OK screen, and the slicer is saying that flashing is complete. And with that, you can close this. And at this point, flash is complete. We've now updated the firmware to the current requirements for PrusaSlicer. You don't have to do this. It seems that the issue I was having, and I haven't confirmed it yet, of printing a couple of different files was actually with the filament, and I printed it on a different filament. But this video was generated because I was trying to upgrade my firmware. I kind of like the current stuff. I was trying to upgrade the firmware. I couldn't upgrade it. I couldn't find good reference, and it's incredibly easy. And then I remembered that you do it through Slicer, and there's no reason to fear it. I highly recommend you do it. Hope it helped. Thanks, and hope to see you in another one. I'm having fun with the Prusa i3 Mk3S Plus printer, and the printer software, the PrusaSlicer 2.4.0, as I currently run on my system. It's been fun, and if you look at my homepage, childhouse.com, and then select down to 3D printing, you'll see we have printed a lot of stuff. My wife absolutely loves this. This is fun. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helps.